All right, the Netball World Cup is in full swing in Cape Town, and the Caribbean's representatives have had varying results on the sport's biggest stage. Preliminary round 2 began on Monday with teams split in 2 categories, the winners stage and the losers stage. Barbados is the only Caribbean team competing in the losers stage, meaning the best possible finish for them is 13th. Trinidad and Tobago will not make the semi-finals but can finish top 10, while Jamaica are still in contention to advance to the last 4. Here are today's results. Barbados 62-45 over Zimbabwe. That is their first victory of the tournament as they start their battle for 13th. Australia 77-37 over Scotland. They're 4 from 4. Malawi 62-48 over Fiji. New Zealand also 4 from 4. 83-34 over Wales. A rather impressive performance from the New Zealanders today. Singapore 55-52 over Sri Lanka. That is another battle for 13th position. Jamaica 61-49 over Uganda. They go 4 from 4. South Africa 69-28 over Trinidad and Tobago. South Africa maintaining their slim semi-final hopes, and England also 4 from 4 with a 72-46 victory over Tonga. The Sunshine Girls are top of Group G in preliminary stage 2 with 6 points. This is how they have acquired those points. Remember, they started on the 28th of July with a 105-25 victory over Sri Lanka. They then got the better of Wales 75-40, 67-49 over South Africa. That was a good win on Sunday, and then that 61-49 victory over Uganda today. The storyline, though, couldn't be much different for the other Caribbean nations at the tournament. This is how the Twin Island Republic has gone so far. They had defeat in their opening game to New Zealand 76-27, then beat Singapore 49-36. That is what took them into preliminary round stage 2, the winners category, and then they lost to Uganda 74-34. The Ugandans have been quite impressive at this Netball World Cup, and today a 69-28 defeat to South Africa. And the Bajan Gems have struggled even more. These are their results today. They lost all 3 matches in the first phase of competition, 90-29 to England, 53-44 to Scotland, and 84-48 to Malawi. And they had that lone victory against Zimbabwe earlier on Monday. Lance and Mariah, the Netball World Cup, very much in full swing. Watching this tournament over the last few days has brought me to the conclusion that Caribbean netball and America's netball by extension is in a spot of bother. I look at the European teams, England, Scotland, Wales. I look at the African teams, and I am seeing improvement from what I saw at the Commonwealth Games last year or what I saw 4 years ago. And with the exception of Jamaica, I am not sure I am seeing that level of improvement from our Caribbean teams. And when I marry that with what I saw at the qualifying tournament last year, which quite frankly took me by surprise, that the quality was as low as it was. I must admit, it took me by surprise because I expected more. And Lance and Mariah, I just think that we are in trouble, and there needs to be some level of intervention to help get Caribbean netball to where I think it deserves to be.
I have to agree with you because I was also there at the qualifiers and had the opportunity to speak to the players on air and off air. And apart from Jamaica, because they've been really good at this Netball World Cup, 4 out of 4 wins, they are favourites to even walk away with gold. So I will not be talking about them when I speak about the other Caribbean countries, because I feel like, Jamaica has really stamped their place where netball is concerned. But the rest of the players in our conversations, off air and even on air, a lot of them felt as if, they don't get the support that they need. And when I speak about support, yes, I'm talking about infrastructure, development. Many players, they're juggling are working during the day and playing the sport in the afternoon. I know it's similar in Jamaica where the netballers have their own jobs as well. But I feel like these Caribbean countries, they feel as if they haven't gotten the investment that they need to take the sport to the level that they need it to be.
Well, part of the reason why the Jamaicans have elevated themselves to the level that they are now is because they have so many pro players in their roster. There's no question that that has helped the Jamaica team to compete against New Zealand and Australia in a way that they would not have maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago. And you are right, Mariah, that I think the netball program in Trinidad and Tobago and Barbados struggles because of the reasons you just outlined, where a lot of the girls are not full-time netball. Well, not all of them aren't full-time netballers. They have jobs. And outside of a couple of pros in the T&T setup, Shaquanda, who plays in England, a lot of the girls are straddling their daily professional jobs with playing netball and training in the evenings. One of the most outstanding Trinidad and Tobago players in the past decade, Khalifa McCollin, had to make a decision between playing for Trinidad and Tobago and furthering her studies. And as a result, she isn't playing for T&T now, because I think there was some conflict between her and the coaching staff about her availability for training and so on. And she said, look, she could train like at these times on these days, but she can't train otherwise because she has schooling and so on. And for whatever reason, that ended up with her being out of the system. And Khalifa McCollin was one of the few T&T players who had professional contracts. She was playing in New Zealand, or was it Australia? So there is a problem where the program for netball in Trinidad and Tobago and Barbados, the programs in those countries aren't keeping pace with the rest of the world, and the results are showing.
I take your points in terms of Jamaica having pro-level players, and that clearly will make a difference. But I also think that fundamentally there's an issue with the development programs across the region. And that is where I think we have to tackle this issue first and foremost, to ensure that the players who are coming through the junior ranks come through with the requisite technical ability, and by extension also the tactical awareness to be able to operate at high levels. Because I think once that starts to happen, then you will get players moving into professional systems. And even if that does not happen, then you still have better quality players at this level to parade around the region. And maybe it is that netball needs to start looking at a region-wide, I don't know if it's going to be some sort of a club tournament, semi-professional tournament, but I think we have to get to a stage where as a region, we are finding a way to help ourselves, because otherwise we're going to continue to have these conversations for many years.
Your point is well taken, Ricardo, because when I started in this job in the journalism field in the mid-1980s, Jamaica didn't have pro players, and they were still better than Trinidad and Tobago and Barbados, because I would suspect of a superior infrastructure to develop the netballers. So that's a point that we have to consider.
Yeah, very much the case. We're going to be rushing out of this netball segment. A big match coming up at the tournament, by the way, for the Sunshine Girls will be on Thursday against New Zealand, because that match will determine who they will take on in the semi-finals, and we are presuming here that they will get to the last four of the tournament, and if they beat New Zealand, they will quite likely avoid Australia in the semi-finals, and the Aussies have been looking great. We take a break. I'll be back with more after this.